People want to know about what the worst problem that we face today is. It is by far the debt and the deficit. It threatens our entire existence as a nation. We're watching the European countries go through great turmoil, and it is over this same question. So I've prepared this chart and would like to walk through it with you. It's simplistic, it's a little bit cartoonish, but I think it explains very well. Join with me in that discussion. So the first thing to know about the debt and the deficit is, number one, we want to know how much we're spending every year. If you're working on your family budget, you want to know what you spend. You also want to know what you make. In the United States government, 2 years ago, we spent $3.5 trillion. I just use a T instead of all the zeros because you get lost in zeros. We brought in 2.2 trillion. Now, I do the math for us guys that didn't study all the way through high school. That's minus 1.3. That's how much money we're short every year in the budget. It's almost 40% of our budget is short. Now, that doesn't work for your family. It doesn't work for a business, and it is not working for the United States government. This $1.3 trillion deficit, actually, that's the amount we're short. When we spend the money during that year, then it becomes a part of the debt. And so I've got this deficit pipeline going from the little building out here, and it's filling up this debt barrel. This debt barrel began back in the time of George Washington, and if you took the deficit each year from George Washington up through today, this number 2 years ago was 15 trillion, now it's $16.4 trillion. That's the accumulated debt. You can see that if we took every single penny to pay towards our national debt, it would take about 8 years. That's not workable, it's not functional, so it's causing great economic stress. The greatest problem, though, is the debt that has run over the barrel. In Washington, when numbers get too large, we simply say that they don't exist. But I will tell you, this amount of debt outside the barrel is about anywhere from 100 to 200 trillion dollars. That's for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Now, you and I both know that those are obligations of the government, but somehow in Washington they describe them as not being a part of the debt. So our picture is much worse than Greece. Our picture is worse than Ireland. Our picture is dramatically bad and threatens the entire future of the country. The last thing I'll talk about is this little chart here. Now, I downloaded this 2 years ago from OMB, that's the White House economist. Also, the same chart was on CBO. That's the Congressional Economist. That chart shows us the thing that we both knew. That, number one, you are making more money than your parents did before you. So as we progress along here, if we went all the way back to George Washington, you're seeing a steady increase in the wages for the American population. But you see this chart actually start down over here. When I ask audiences, are your children going to be better off than you are? Intuitively, people say, no, that's not going to happen. That chart shows that that's actually in the process of occurring right now. The frightening thing, though, is this chart ends. Time doesn't end, the chart ends. And you have to ask yourself, what's that about? That means that in 2038, and it's probably now closer to us because we're spending faster than we thought we were going to spend, 2038, the monetary system of the United States just ends. It ceases because of these factors. We must take care of this so that our children and grandchildren have a future. The debt and the deficit are the big problems that we face. It's not a partisan issue. Both parties need to be working together to fix this problem. Thank you.